There is such an element of art and science in what we do.
And I think that's why I really enjoy the hybrid working, because when I was like 100% remote, my work was my home and my home was my work.
What advice you have for people who are working in marketing, advertising, these creative industries?
You need to be continuously learning and continuously open to everything around you. Be a sponge, be an absolute sponge.
Hello, and welcome to South Africa Tech Marketers, where I uncover the journeys of marketers who are absolutely thriving in South Africa and beyond in the hope of helping you do the same. My name is Kirsty Lang. I am a senior content writer working remotely in Cape Town for a tech company called Buffer, and I am thrilled to be joined in the virtual studio by someone who is absolutely smashing it on the local scene. I had a crazy fangirl moment when she hopped in the virtual studio. We will get to that. But first, the show is brought to you by the Global Talent Co., which aims to help marketers based in South Africa find their dream remote jobs at incredible tech companies all over the world. So if you're a marketer looking for your next gig, or you're looking to recruit some amazing South African talent like Zara, definitely check out their website, theglobaltalent.co. I will put that in the show notes. But yes, I feel like a woman who almost needs no introduction in my life is Zara Ali Said, Director of Operations at FCB Africa. Thank you for making the time to chat with me today.
Thank you. It's so nice to see you after all these years in a very different environment and atmosphere.
It's very strange. Zara and I go very, very, very far back to a time when we were starstruck. We had stars in our eyes as teenagers. We both, I was in two minds about mentioning this because it kind of feels like revealing my alter ego. But we both worked as singers when we were teenagers, singers and TV presenters. We presented a show on, South Africans will know, SABC2. I did the first season. Zara was on the second season. It was a whole thing. If you fancy Googling famous SABC2, do that. Have yourself a little stroll down memory lane. If you're wondering why we look and sound familiar, that's probably why. But Zara is such a hotshot now and all grown up. I will admit, if there was anyone who was on Famous that I was going to peg to be a superstar, it would have been you.
Oh, thanks,
just
Kirsty.
Really,
but it's so strange.
I mean, you are a
it's
superstar
so strange
in right.
because, thank you. I think it's so strange because the kind of trajectory of my life, I wouldn't have imagined it at that stage.
Really?
I thought I was yes, I really thought I was South Africa's Beyonce, and that was gonna be my journey. Like, that was
okay.
really,
No, but I thought that too.
Yeah.
I thought that too. When I said really, I thought you meant you didn't think you were going to be a
No.
superstar. Because like I did. I was betting on you, not me.
Thank
I was like,
you.
if I'm going to put my money on
Thank you.
someone,
Yes.
it's going to be Zara.
So, yeah, but I mean, just in terms of like my current career, never imagined it at all in my wildest dreams.
But you know what's really funny though? I think so many people, even on the show, the folks that I've spoken to, come from similar backgrounds and have kind of moved into like marketing, advertising. There is definitely a type of person who thrives in this kind of environment, you know, where, I mean, in certain marketing roles, right? Like where you are comfortable, like kind of being the face, the center of attention, presenting, creating as well. Yeah.
And I think, I think it's
it's
exactly that. It's creativity. And it comes out kind of in all forms, right? And I think the advertising space for me is like the main space for everyone's different types of kind of creativity to flow into a working environment. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, phenomenal. That's a side of this kind of industry that I have never worked in. I've done all sorts of things, but that is one side I've not touched. So I'm very excited to talk about this with you. Let's start. Okay. Let's talk. How did we get from Urban Brew Studios to car park? Let's talk about your career journey. Yes.
Yeah, I think, my foot or opening into advertising was, not many people know this, through a gentleman called Wayne Hemper, and he's the current chief financial officer at TBWA Day, Los Angeles. And yeah,
sounds very important.
No, it's a bizarre story. He basically took a chance on me. I had no experience. I'd never worked in advertising. I just knew that I wanted to be something great. I didn't know what that was. And he was just like, cool, I'm going to go see if we can make that happen. Whatever kind of opportunity is available, you just have to take it and run with it. And I went to an interview a couple of days later, not knowing what I was interviewing for. It was just like, I need to get in, whatever's available, I'm willing to do it. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think the business at the time, it was TBWA Hunters Carters in South Africa. They took a very brave chance on affording me the opportunity to be an account executive on some of the accounts. And from that moment, it was literally all the way up to where I am now. I think it was the first time I felt like I was in a space in my life where this was what I was meant to do. And I think it leads back to our conversation of being able to be creative at work. Because I think if I went into accounting, or if I was a lawyer or any kind of your conventional office job, I don't think I would have managed or coped. But I think because there's some element of creativity in my day to day, I think that's what's kept me for so long.
I love that. That makes so much sense, because there is, and I say this quite often, is there is such an element of art and science in what we do, right?
Yeah.
It's create, and then what does that achieve? And I think we kind of have that in common, in that we like to be successful. We like to succeed. We'll go into auditions. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So it can be kind of addictive. Okay. So tell me, so you got in, how long were you in that role before you kind of started climbing your way up the ladder?
Gosh, I probably got promoted within like a space of a couple of months. But it's funny because I started
with no experience.
With no experience. And at the time, the MD for that part of the business, her name was Janine Living. She really kind of spearheaded that. She was the one that crazily listened to Wayne Hemper, who banged on her door one afternoon and was like, hear me out. There is this person. I have someone. I don't know what for, but she'll be an asset to you. And yeah, I think from day one, I mean, she kind of, within a couple of months, I was kind of promoted, and my career path shifted within that space, and I was able to tap into quite a number of departments within that business. And that was where I kind of set myself up for the project management operational side of things. So I didn't start in that. I started in a client-facing role, and then developed into the business side of things.
Sometimes I feel, especially project management, that's not something I'm particularly strong at. I have 3,000 tools, and all of them are telling me to do different things, and it's a whole thing. But I sometimes feel like that is something that you are born into, is just having that kind of mind where you can kind of take a step back, see the big picture, and then get into the weeds and kind of pull everything together. Tell me a little bit about how you built that skill. Where did that come from, kind of having stepped into this business so fresh?
Yeah, now it's so funny because when I hire project managers, and this is like a skill that I look for in the interview stage already, because that is something, the skill set for me is like the most important. And I'll kind of tap into why. I look at how calm a person is. And I think one really big superpower of project managers is being able to be calm in extremely high stress environments and situations. Specifically in the industry that we're in, we are always under pressure. We are hitting deadlines. We are trying to stay within budget. We have clients shouting from the rooftops. We have creative teams that are frustrated. We have account leadership teams demanding to see their work. So it's really kind of, if you can maintain a sense of calm in all of that chaos, and really sit back and kind of methodically shift gears and move things where they need to go with all of the noise around you, that's already like 50% to success.
Okay.
When you become high strung and kind of frazzled, that is like where things can get quite blurred. And then and you know what, it's not a bad thing. It's just when you are calm, your thought process of how you find solutions is clearer. And that for me kind of is how I succeeded, is just being calm. And I think I'm still that way. I'm calm in my work environment. I'm calm in my motherhood. I'm calm in my relation. Okay, my husband might not agree. But I try and be calm. Yeah. I try and be calm in my life in general. And I think that's kind of how I've succeeded so far.
Okay. You've kind of unlocked something for me there, because from what I remember of our time being on stage, you were always just so mellow, and I would be bouncing off the walls, like really anxious about getting on stage. Like, is this going to work? Am I going to fall over again? Because that happened a lot. Like, you know, and I was frazzled. Yeah. And you were just.
And the thing is, and the thing is, like, you, it's funny, you say it, it's harder to do it when, you know, it's yourself and you really have to do it. But when you kind of sit with yourself and you're like, I'm here for a reason, you know, I'm in this position because I have the knowledge and I have the skills. Like, just take a step back. How would I navigate this and then get it done? And I think that's exactly what I did when I used to perform with you specifically, because obviously we were in a group dynamic. So I would just kind of be that calm space, and it's worked so far.
Yeah. No, you've triggered like a flood of memories for me now. Like you were 100% that like calming force, where the rest of us were like these wild 20-something singers. That's a story for another time. Okay. So something I did want to ask you about is how you juggle everything, because you have a lot going on. You know, you have 2 kids, you have a really intense career. I mean, some of the things that you have just mentioned, dealing with all these stakeholders, and you're managing am I right in thinking you're managing the project managers? Yeah. So like I mean, that's huge. How do you stay productive? How do you navigate everything that you have to grapple with every day?
You know what? I think I'm going to start with something that's not kind of in the work space first, because I needed to tap into that to be able to tap into the workspace. And I think you'd probably resonate with my answer now. When I decided to start a family, I was not prepared for the day I had to go back to work. And no one speaks about it enough. And, you know, you are this career-driven individual all your life. You've got goals. And then you become a mother, and it's like you need to go back into the workforce, and you are filled with this intense amount of guilt. And I needed to sit with myself and work on the guilt first, and kind of understand that what I'm doing and me being better in myself and my life and my career is directly impacting my kids and giving them the life that they have, and making my entire family comfortable in the life that we have. So once I kind of cleared the lines of that guilt, I was able to like sit with myself and be like, okay, cool. Now that the guilt is put to the side, what do I need to be successful in providing for them? And that for me was, I need help. You know, I have an incredible support system in my mom and dad, who are very, very, very hands-on. I've got an incredible nanny as well. So step 1, handle the guilt. Step 2, cool. What does it look like for me to be successful and be able to do what I need to do? That's what I need. I need a support structure. So I built that support structure, who kind of help us on the day-to-day in making sure that the boys are taken care of while we get to do what we love. And then 3, what do I then need for myself to be successful in my role? And that's kind of how I tackled it. And I've got this really cool app that I still need to plug everyone on Instagram soon. That has really helped us. Listen, it's called Family Wall. If you have not heard it,
okay,
it is so great. And it's basically, it kind of links to your calendar on your phone already. So whatever you put in there, it kind of auto links to your normal iCal. And you can kind of separate, it color coordinates and separates everyone in your family's kind of responsibilities for, or tasks for the month. So in there, it's got my husband, when he's away, when he's working, in his color code. It's got what I'm doing when I'm at home, when I'm in the office. It's got the kids' extramurals, and you are able to kind of fill in and connect on the go without having to kind of have a conversation with your partner. So if there's something that you need to put in,
that's amazing.
Let's say, for example, there's an event or anything, like they will get a notification that this is happening on Saturday. Cool, we know that's in. Check what's happening for the week. Cool, this is kind of what needs to happen. So go and check it out. It's really great. And they've got like nice stuff built into that as well. So
that's literally doing it as soon as we get off the call, because that app is like my absolute
it's
siren song. It's color coordinated productivity. I'm sold.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that is a very difficult thing to manage when you have two partners working pretty high pressure.
Yeah. Because you can't talk. You don't talk. You're like, when you talk. It's difficult. So if that can be automated, automate it. Absolutely automate
Automate everything. Okay, I love that. That is probably the most practical tip someone has ever given me on this podcast so far. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So going kind of off on a tangent now, I would like to know, we talked a little about like that level of creativity that fulfills you. What in your current role are you doing now that kind of scratches that itch for you? What are you creating, if that makes any sense?
So I think specifically in my role, that we're continuously creating and improving, constantly creating and improving. So I think a lot of the workflows and processes that I'm implementing, I'm really adjusting constantly. If it works, cool, we'll run with it. But a lot of what we do in collaboration with like various departments is working on how we can do things better in creative ways. So I think that's kind of where it's tested. And I mean, I'm one person that can say sometimes it doesn't always work, and I think just trying various things to get to kind of the end goal. So for me, I think my role, just to answer in short, consistently creative all the time, because no day for me is the same. And I also have kind of the opportunity to be involved and see a lot of the great work that the team is doing. And I mean, just walking the walls of the building and seeing what people are doing and hearing what they're working on, seeing what they're presenting. I think that also keeps my mind in a creative space, just feeding off of everyone else's creativity.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great in an advertising space. I think we all just bounce off on each other's creativity, and that kind of fuels yours.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. I really like that you are, because I think there is a level of creativity that is required in setting up systems and workflows.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not thinking outside the box, you're probably not solving the problems in the best way. Yeah, that's very cool. So something else that we touched on when Zara hopped on the call, she mentioned that she works hybrid, which I didn't know. So you work a couple of days in the office and a couple of days at home. I would love to find out how you navigate that, because I think I would find that context switching quite difficult. Yeah,
it really is. It's very difficult. And one of the things that I really struggled with in the beginning, and my husband used to say it all the time, was I would come home and be in work Zara mode. So the way I would answer, the way I would request things to be done.
Request. That's probably a nice way of framing it.
Where I requested things to be done and asked for things, I was in like that work mode. So I really needed to first learn to kind of switch off. And I think that's why I really enjoy the hybrid working, because when I was like 100% remote, the lines were completely blurred. And
Yeah.
my work was my home and my home was my work. And that for me, it was tough, especially when you have kids and, they're at the door screaming, and
Yeah.
it's very tough. I mean, you live it. So you can really
Every
attest
day.
to how hectic it is. But what I do is, I think on the days that I'm at home, I kind of structure less meetings to be more present with my kids. So for example, on a Thursday when I'm home, I do extramurals in the afternoons with my kids. So we go swimming. That's a way for me to kind of connect with them, and not for them to think I'm just in the room ignoring them because they sit and bang. And, that's kind of how I structure it. So when I'm in the office, I have all my meetings, I'm engaging, I'm fully present. I mean, I am fully present on the days that I am home, but I just structure my work day very differently than when I'm in the office. And then I lean on my support system hardcore. Obviously, they have to drop my one son at play school. They have to collect. They watch him if my husband and I aren't home at a certain time. My nanny is just absolute godsend in my life. She does a lot for us, but it's difficult. It's difficult. And I'm well aware, and I think I must mention that I'm well aware of the privilege that I have, because not a lot of people are able to have the support that I am able to have.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm grateful, and I'm very aware of that. And I treat, and I mean, when I go into a workspace where I have, various teams that don't have the opportunities that I have to be able to have that kind of support structure, I am very understanding of how they need to navigate their work life very differently to mine.
Yeah, I think that probably makes you a wonderful manager, because I've had some managers who just don't get it.
Yeah. No, I'm very awful for that work-life balance and understanding that you're human, you have a life, and it's all different.
Yeah. You work to live, you don't live to work. And
absolutely.
I think that,
absolutely.
And it's also, it's really great that, and this is something that I probably need to speak more about as well, because I talk a lot about how hard it is navigating parenting. I mean, I only have one daughter. She's fantastic and healthy, and I have that wonderful support system you mentioned, but it is still freaking hard. I would love to know what advice you have for people who are working in marketing, advertising, these creative industries. They're at the bottom of the rung of the ladder and they want to climb up to where you are. What advice do you have for them?
Stay resilient. I think a lot of what we do, you will experience a lot of setbacks. You need to stay resilient and adapt. I think if I didn't stay resilient and adapt, I wouldn't have coped. I think that's the one thing. The second thing is you need to be continuously learning and continuously open to everything around you. Be a sponge, be an absolute sponge. Because once you understand the broader kind of view and vision, it unlocks a certain level of understanding of business. So I think that's really key. And then prioritize networking, guys. I always say, build the network that you don't need right now. Build the network that you don't need right now, because this industry is so small. And I think more often than not, probably 80% of every job that I've received is through a network.
Yes.
I haven't had to interview. I haven't had to send a CV. I haven't had to present a PowerPoint slide to the board or shareholders. It's literally been my network. So there is absolute power in building relationships, maintaining relationships, and networking.
That's such a great point. That resonates with me so strongly. I have mostly had to interview. I want to learn. You're probably a lot better at networking than I am, because I've had to do all the assignments and they are the worst. But yeah, some of my favorite jobs have come through friends. And like a lot of the time I've seen the job application, not friends, acquaintances, colleagues. I've put my hand up and been like, hey, the most random thing that I ever did was, and I felt so awkward doing it, was when I was still in media, I was working at a magazine. And I contacted the editor of Women's Health South Africa because I saw there was a job at Women's Health UK, the magazine. And I was like, hey, you don't know me at all, but do you have any, can you recommend me? Is there something I can do to maybe, put in a good word for me? And she did. And I got the job as a South African. Getting an international job as a South African is hard enough as it is. We talk about that a lot in the podcast. But if you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't, and something, I feel like I'm ranting now because what you said really resonated with me right at the outset. You put up your hand and you were like, I know nothing. I know nothing about this industry. I want this and I'm going to figure it out. And that is where the magic happens. Every time, the times I've been most uncomfortable in my career are the times where I've grown. Yeah. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, just to that point of like not knowing anything and really like, and building your network, like exactly. And for me, I pay it forward now. What Wayne did for me, I do that for everyone I know. I mean, obviously you have to afford, right? I can't just put it forward to everybody. So it has to be within reason. But a lot of the relationships that I have today, I've helped coordinate where they are. And they've helped me coordinate where I am. So that's my number one. Out of like everything, build an incredibly strong network and go out there and build it, because you don't just need to build a network within where you are working. There are spaces and, I love a LinkedIn. I'm sure you've seen my LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn and there's lots of power, in that platform.
Yes. Oh my gosh. For another podcast that I host, which is about social media, literally every single expert that I've interviewed, I've been like, hey, what are your predictions for 2025? Every single one of them has said LinkedIn is the year of the professional creator. So I love that you flagged that. Not enough South Africans are doing this. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people I know have gotten jobs on LinkedIn. So there's definitely power. There are creeps on there. Absolutely.
Sure.
So you need to be able to really be observant and understand the platform and know when things are dodgy and not. But for the most part, it's an incredible platform.
Yeah, I love that. And that is a wonderful note to end on, because it is allowing me to segue into the amazing community we are building for SA Tech marketers. That is exactly the goal I think we are hoping to achieve with the community, is a space where we can, folks who are more senior in these creative industries can pay it forward, help mentor. And then, it's also great for us to have these connections, right? So yeah, that's what we're building. I will put the link in the show notes for that. I will invite Zara in there. Maybe she'll come hang out. Absolutely no obligation, but it would be lovely. Zara, where can people find you if they want to see your work? LinkedIn is a great place.
LinkedIn, absolutely. Feel free to reach out and connect. I'm quite active on the platform. So yeah, Zara Ali Said on LinkedIn. My social media, I tend to keep it extremely private, just for safety reasons for my kids, and for myself, and to keep my family's privacy intact. But yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn, Zara Ali Said. Happy to connect and chat with me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Everyone listening, I think this has been a fantastic episode. I'm feeling so energized. I'm going to go and talk to people on LinkedIn and connect with people on my network. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Cool.